Hmm. Oh, hello and welcome. I'm busy coughing over here. Welcome to Thursday Night Live. I am Coach Buyanzi Rodman. We do this every Thursday. Make sure you give a shout out, whether it's live or the replay. I hope that some of you are able to drop in while it's live. I'm choking on my own saliva. That's very attractive. So tonight's live. Oh, and I help Black women leaders make career transitions with ease. Tonight's live is called The Art of Receiving, Opening Up to Abundance, the art of receiving and opening up to abundance. And again, I just want to remind you of why I started talking more about abundance, prosperity, and money, because repeatedly over and over again, I see queens in which the lack thereof stops them from pursuing certain things in their life. And so that's why we're going to keep pressing on in terms of this topic. If it's hitting certain chords with you, if you're finding that you are receiving, pun intended, from this. Oh, it just looks so crazy. Okay. If you find that you are receiving from this, then please say something. All right. The art of receiving, opening up to abundance. So number one, and also, I like to go through these really quickly because there's a lot to lay down, and you take it and then you unpack it. You take it and then you unpack it and think about what's been said, how it applies, and then what you can implement into your own life. What doesn't apply to you, you take it and you throw it away. So here we go. So number one, I want you to think about the power of receiving. So think about let's call it your reception or receptive odometer. Okay, that's kind of your receptive gauge to see where it's at. So how do you feel when someone's giving you something? I want you to pause. How do you feel when someone's giving you something? And if you're here, you most certainly can say, how do you feel when someone's giving you something? Do you take it, but I don't really want to take something from you. Is it tight? Like, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. Is it, or is it free? Thank you. I'll take that. So I want you to think whether it's an actual thing, something that's tangible, or whether even it's a compliment. What if someone says, oh, I like that dress that you're wearing? Normally, do you say thank you? Or might you say, thank you, oh my gosh, like this is old, and then you just say something behind it that undercuts that thank you, that you're undercutting yourself. So I really want you to think about your positioning, because if you're not feeling good about receiving, when we're talking about this, then that's telling you, there's some resistance there. There's some blockage there to being able to fully receive. And I'm going to tell you this, and now this one is controversial. I've actually gotten some flack for saying the next thing I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it, darn it. And that is, even when someone says, I love you, do you just have it in you that you say, I love you too, right back? Or can you just receive it? I love you. Thank you. Who did I used to say that to? They were like, say you love me back. I'm like, I just want to receive it. If you're saying I love you because you want an I love you back, then maybe today it's not going to be your day. So I want you to really think about how you are when you receive. Let me say this to you. Let me share this story to you about receiving. and about abundance, right? Because we're opening up to receiving abundance. And sometimes our how gets in the way, and we've spoken about that, and we'll speak about that again, right? So you may say, okay, today you're going to shift it. Okay, Vuyanzi, today you're going to shift it into receiving, but how am I supposed to be getting that? So all of a sudden you're finding that there's blockages according to the how, because you don't understand, if you open yourself up to receiving abundance, how is that abundance going to come? But I just even encourage you in this story. This goes back some time ago when I wanted to buy a house. So what I used to do with the kids was, my kids, is we started visiting open houses. I want you to ask me a question. Ask me if I knew how I was going to receive that abundance in the form of a house. If you ask me how I was going to receive it, I can tell you that the answer was no. But what we started doing was, I told the kids, okay, on Sundays after church, we're going to go start visiting houses. And here's the rub, right? Every time we would walk in, you sign your name in the little thing, and then they ask you, oh, have you been pre-approved for a mortgage? And I was always like, no, I hadn't been pre-approved for a mortgage, but I needed to expand in that area. I needed to expand from where I was, which was in my mother's house, to be able to receive the abundance of getting my own house. Okay, yeah, I was in my mother's house with my 3 kids. All right. So how did I do that? So for me, it was beginning to do the thing and to start expanding by visiting houses before I knew the how, so that when the how came, and one day I'm going to tell you that it came, I was able to receive something that had been held up for 10 years, some money that had been held up for 10 years. I was in a position to receive it and use that as the down payment for the house. So when you open yourself up to receiving, it can be amazing. That's the power of receiving. That is the power of what you can do to open yourself to receiving abundance. And I want you to know this about receiving when we're thinking about the power of receiving. That is the law of reciprocity. So, right, Tina, I see you saying that there's definitely some resistance there, but I want us to remember the giving and receiving, right? I've heard people say, oh, I just give. I don't like people giving to me. I don't like that. Okay, you can say that, but you're violating the law. You're violating the law. You may say, oh no, that's a little thing, but you violate the law in a little way, you violate it in a big way. There's blockage there to receiving. So there's the law of reciprocity. Also in the Bible may be called sowing and reaping, sowing and reaping. So thinking about that, there's not honor. And I'm going to say it like this. There's not honor in just giving. You're violating the law that you're blocking yourself in order to receive. And if your desire is for abundance, we need to open up the channels in the little way and in the bigger way. So that is number one. That is number one, the power of receiving. Let's think about the role of the mind. Remember, thoughts become things. So this would have been perfect for the house story, but I wanted to tell you about that. So, but here's the question, right? What can you do to make those thoughts to enable you to receive? What exercises can you do in the mind to help you receive? Thoughts become things. If there's resistance there, what channels do you need to open up and start to sit down? This is important. It doesn't have to be with me, but definitely sitting down with the coach to say, what is my resistance to receiving? Because this, or what is my opposition to receiving? Because this is holding up my abundance. And you want the flow to come even easier. When you think about how can you use the mind, the tool of the mind, or the mind's role in your receiving, the art of receiving? Visualize Visualize receiving. Remember, we've talked repeatedly and will never stop talking about the power of visualization. Picture receiving. Picture how it feels, not just the picture, but then get your emotions, your feelings involved. When you think about receiving the very abundance that you desire, lean into that. How does that feel? See it, feel it. This begins to give you that opening, that channel to begin to open up to receive the abundance. I want you to think about this too. The abundance. I want you to think about the power of focus. That's another thing, the role that the mind can take in this art of receiving and being able to open up to abundance. Focus on the abundance that you want. Now, I just talked about it in terms of the mind visualizing it, but just let it be the thing that you desire, that burning desire, focus on it. So the power of focus, and I just want to say this because it's easy to take the power of focus for granted because we hear coaches talking about it, we hear it in motivational speeches, but I want you to remember this because I know that this has happened to you at one time or another. Have you ever been walking in a grocery store, possibly at a stoplight, maybe walking in the street, and you feel someone staring at you? You don't see it, but you feel it, and you turn around, and you may actually catch that person staring at you. Now, sometimes they may avert their eyes away, or maybe sometimes they stay right there, depending upon how brazen they are. But why do you feel that? Let's go to that. We're talking about the power of focus. Why do you feel that stare that you don't see, but you feel it first? Because all that emotion, that affection, be it hatred, be it love, lust, whatever it may be, is focused on you, and you are feeling that transference of energy. Everything is energy. How are we relating this to the art of receiving, opening up for abundance? When you focus on your abundance, and you're focusing on that which you want. We see it in everyday occurrences, how powerful the power of focus can be. Use it intentionally for the abundance that you want. That is the mind's role in it. Remember, we're talking today about the art of receiving, opening up to abundance. And finally, gratitude. Gratitude, opening ourselves, let's just use this, exercising gratitude. That's number 3, exercising gratitude. So I want you to just think about this. When you feel gratitude, it creates a feeling of happiness. And then your attention goes to those good feeling things. When you are focused on the good feeling things, it attracts more of the positive experiences, which can and will include the abundance that you desire. Exercise gratitude. So what have we gone over today? We've talked about the power of receiving. We've talked about the mind's role in it, and we've talked about exercising gratitude. Today, if you want a partner, as you open yourself up to the abundance that it is that you desire, feel free to DM me for a strategy session where we can both sit down and talk about what it is that you desire and how it is that you can get there. Other than that, make sure you drop in the chat your parting message or takeaway from today's talk. Yes, we did this in under 15 minutes. It doesn't look like there are any questions in the chat. Thank you for those of you who stopped by. And to all of you, I will see you next week. Mwah. Love you, Queen.